God is at work in everything for good.
I thought you were an absolute jerk.
You've got to come to Ravenswood.
They don't want me. I'm not minister material. Who is the person at Ravenswood? And she said, Reverend John Humphries. And I went, oh, shit. No, the dickhead in the purple tie. You will hear stories of struggle, courage and hope.
We talk about faith, no filter.
Hey, welcome back to Filthy Hope. We're so excited that you could join us today. I have my very awesome guest today, my co-host, Reverend John Humphries. Welcome, John Humphries.
Reverend sister.
Reverend brother.
This is great. We just thought we would give you some of the backstory, how we came to be friends. And let's face it, Ness, you didn't like me when you first encountered me, didn't you?
Not at all, brother. I thought you were an absolute jerk.
I think you have a stronger word there.
Yeah, I do, but it's really rude and I
What was
probably
that?
shouldn't say it.
It wasn't I'm a dickhead.
It was sort of like that.
A-hole.
Yes. You were awful. There you stood in your pink, shiny, bloody purple tie. You were all stitched up. You looked all immaculate and nobody else in the room was immaculate. And it was a presbytery meeting.
Yeah, so this was the meeting that Ness was being approved to enter into theological college as a candidate for ordination. And so she had to come to this whole big meeting of the regional council of the church, and she presented her story, and at the end people were invited to ask questions. And I asked you, can you remember the question?
Yeah, you said to me, like you were leaning against the wall at the very back of the room, suited up, and like I said, nobody else was in suits. So
No,
it felt
because I
very...
was a school chaplain, so
Yeah.
I was dressed in my proper school formal suit and tie.
Yeah, but I didn't know you were a school chaplain. I didn't know anything about you. I just thought you looked like a jerk at the back of the room.
Yeah.
Because you were leaning, you had swagger, and you said, Ness, I just wanted to ask you, if we don't choose you or you don't get through, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you didn't like that question?
I thought you were so rude.
Yeah, well, actually at the time I was chair of the panel that would have finally approved you into
And I didn't
college.
know that
and you
either.
didn't know that. But so
No.
I was trying to do you a favour actually to get you asked some hard questions because it's called the Synod Selection Panel and you're now on that panel.
I am, yeah.
And you know that they put people who are applying through
The
some
rigour.
fairly
Yeah,
rigorous
for sure.
conversations. So I was just sort of prepping you, but yeah, you thought I was a bit of a dickhead.
I did, because
Asshole.
I was actually secretly hoping that the presbytery would see that I wasn't ministry material and that I wasn't going to be good enough to be a minister. So a part of me was pushing the envelope, hoping that you would say no, so then I could be right about the church and say, see, I'm not good enough to be a minister. They don't want me. I'm not minister material. And I could go on being a greedy businesswoman, make lots of money.
Sweet.
Yeah, I thought it was a win-win, really.
God's a bit annoying sometimes, really.
It was a little bit annoying. So every time I kind of pushed that door
Yeah.
with my radical, honest way that I present myself, they
Hoping
kept
the church didn't like
Yeah,
radically honest.
yeah, hoping
and they
that-
actually went, yeah, actually we do.
hoping the church would reject my full Vanessa-ness.
Yeah.
Each time they kept saying, no, come on, let's give you a crack.
Well, I saw you and I went, you've got to come to Ravenswood. We've got to play together in ministry. So I don't know how I worked it. I think
You spoke to Reverend Mother.
I did, Reverend Mother, but sometimes they don't listen. But this time I just had this real sense that there was a connection and you needed to come and do ministry together. Some people think you have to learn from me, but it's actually just learning from practice. So Nessa came, I was at Ravenswood School for Girls. I was the school chaplain and I requested, begged, pleaded, however I got, that you would come and that we could play together in chaplaincy and that you could do some learning along the way. But I think ultimately you knew how to be a chaplain.
Well, I seriously had the shits because I didn't want to come and I was begging Reverend Mother could I please go into prison chaplaincy because God had said to me, corporate prison chaplaincy shape mould 3 years in that slew of words. That's how it went.
Right.
And so I thought that prison and chaplaincy was somewhere where God wanted me to be. And obviously that makes sense to me. And then when Reverend Mother was saying, Vanessa, there's an opportunity for you to go to Ravenswood, and I said, well, who is the person at Ravenswood? And she said, Reverend John Humphries. And I went, oh, shit. No, the dickhead in the purple tie. And I shit myself. I thought, oh, no, he hates me. This is going to be awful. I remember being really stressed about that.
Yeah. What was
Seriously.
your first day like when you actually rocked up? Because I was super excited. I was going to have a ministry friend because when you're in school chaplaincy, it's pretty much you. I was the team. I was the chaplaincy team. I was part of other teams, part of the religious education team or Christian studies or whatever you want to call it. I was part of the wellbeing team, part of the counselling team. But it was really just me in the chaplaincy space. So to have somebody come and play.
I was so excited.
Yeah.
I went and bought new clothes because I had to buy because I'd been working in the gym industry. I had loads of Lululemon and Lorna Jane. Yeah. And I had some corporate jackets and pants, but I kind of needed to get into the school chaplaincy look. I didn't even know what that was. So I remember going to David Jones with Rob and getting a whole lot of new outfits so that I could kind of fit in and look the part. I thought if you look the part, then I'll trick people into thinking that maybe I've got the things that it requires. I remember being so nervous, so anxious, really stressed, not able to sleep, nervous of being with you because I didn't know you.
Yeah.
And you just had like an energy level that was off the charts. And I thought, oh, how am I going to keep up with that level of energy? But it was just so fun. I felt so welcome straight away by you, but also your wider team of all the SRE teachers. Everybody that I met there was a delight. And it was a really wonderful experience. And I learnt, you modelled how to be a school chaplain, and then I learnt how to be one. And ironically, my first placement ended up being as a school chaplain at MLC school.
We'll get to that in a minute. So we did some fun stuff.
We did.
Because I like being creative. You like being creative.
Can you tell the story?
Which story?
The one when we were doing work with Wesley Mission.
Yeah, so Ness used to work for Wesley Mission. And I was at a North Shore private school in Sydney, and I thought, you've worked with homeless people and probably a lot of my girls don't know how to deal with that. So let's talk about different, I guess I call it bursting the North Shore bubble. Yeah. These girls lived in a fairly lovely world, protected world. They're lovely kids. Still miss working with them sometimes, but they're really special. But yeah, they lived sometimes in a sheltered life and not seeing some of the harder stuff in life. And so I thought, how can we do this?
And my friends at the time, I'd come from Wesley Mission. That was my first placement in candidating for ministry.
So being a practice
minister.
person.
Yeah, that's right. So I was placed at Wesley, and my friends at the time were many of the homeless people on Pitt Street and George Street, and I'd become quite good mates with them in a pastoral ministry sense, and they had become my buddies. So it was a real shock for me to end up in private school land when I thought I was going to be doing on the street, where my heart really was with the least of these. And to find myself then with you in your shiny bloody tie and your suit, it was like, whoa, here we go, this is different, which was a great thing, great learning. But then we suggested, why don't we dress you up as a homeless man?
We did, and so maybe we can even get a shot put into the video if you're watching. But there I was. I found a sleeping bag.
Boxes?
Boxes. We spread them out just as a makeshift bed. We stuffed some garbage bags with some stuff to look like I had a bunch of my own possession. I found a wig. Yeah,
that was
Put
awesome.
a wig on, and there I lay outside the front of the chapel, which is across the road.
And it was winter time. I remember
across the road from the school.
Yeah.
And these girls walked up to chapel because they all lined up very nicely.
With the teachers.
Who
had no idea what was going on.
And there I was lying out the front of the chapel in this sort of corner space making
rustling noises. And I had
it was fun to listen to. What do you remember some of the staff saying to you?
Well, the staff came up to me and said, "Oh, Vanessa, where's John?" I said, "Oh, he's had to race back to the office to pick up some bits that he'd left for the chapel service." And I said, "Are you okay?" And I remember her saying, and pointing and going, "Have you noticed what's going on over there?" And I said, "Yeah, I've spoken to him and John is aware. Everything's okay. He's just a lovely man. I've offered help and maybe we can link him in with some services. Yeah, so all is okay." And she said, "Oh, good." But all the kids were walking by staring and pointing at the homeless man, you, and sort of whispering and talking about you.
Yeah.
As they came into chapel, they sat up in chapel, and then you and I had lined up that I would open chapel that day.
Yeah, and talk about Wesley Mission. And none of them put it together.
No.
That this was the link.
Yes.
But,
and I'd been working with Chris the Rat Man, who's one of the well-known homeless people on Pitt Street just outside Wesley Centre, and he's still there today, and he's got his lovely little rat that he sits on a milk crate, and he loves her, Lucy. He loves her to pieces, and I would regularly take him a coffee and a muffin. And so it was a really great conversation. And I told the girls about Chris the Rat Man.
And then I walked into chapel. Then you walked in. Still in my Nike clothes.
Dragging your bloody
going, "Oh, hello, what's going on here?"
Oh, the kids shit themselves.
And then they turn around and go, "Oh, it's a rev."
I know.
It's a rev.
But it was great learning, great teaching for them.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
To go, actually, how did you feel?
Yeah.
How did you notice that you were not seeing that person as a person? So that was one of the fun
And you
things
unpacked it with them. It was a really good learning. It was exciting.
It was great.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
We did.
Then you were just telling me before we started filming of another great story about a girl that you saw.
Yeah. So it was one of my first days, and remember I didn't know how to be a school chaplain. I'm just copying you, and I'm watching what you do in the playground, and we were moving between. It's so busy. You don't barely have time for a wee or a drink. It's like on the go all day. I know they think school teachers don't work very hard. I have a whole new level of understanding for school teachers, and the pace at which they go in the school term is just off the Richter. And we were racing between things and events and setting up the next service or with the little ones, and there was a girl who had a broken leg and she was on crutches and she was making her way over to one of the benches just outside your office. And I said, without even asking permission of you or anything, and I'm brand new, keep in mind, and I just say, "Hang on a sec, John," and I walk over to her and I said, "Hi, I'm Ness. I'm learning to be a minister. I'm wondering, how's your leg? What's going on with your leg?" And she told me about the accident and what had happened, and then I just felt really prompted to say, "Can I pray? Can I lay hands on your leg?" And she wasn't surprised. She just said, "I'd love that." And so then in the middle of lunchtime, I got to lay my hands on her cast on her leg and to pray over her leg. It was seriously cool. And then I said goodbye to her and I wandered back to you and you said, "That was really cool, Ness. That was a really cool thing to do. That was brave to do that." But I just thought that's what you do.
Yeah, and that is
Isn't
what
that what
you
we
do,
do?
but I didn't do it.
Yeah,
and I
well,
said,
not that
I wish I
day.
could be like you.
Yeah, it was really cool learning, actually.
And I think that's been always my approach, that this stupid term minister, we're all ministers. And the place that I work at, apparently before I came, used to have on the top of their newsletter that everyone are the ministers. And the guy who did my role before me, they were just there to help lead. So when you came, I just treated you like you were a colleague.
You did, 100%, which is very
you were there to learn.
disarming.
But I wasn't above you.
No,
it was just there
never.
to help you learn stuff that you may not already know. And it clearly, you had gifts and skills and insight that was just amazing.
I had a few things up my sleeve, but you taught me how to do the job and you modelled how to be. And I was a bit wild in the day when I think about it. So you helped contain me.
Right.
Helped contain me, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, so helped me be appropriate all the time, because in school it's absolutely critical that I couldn't be my full wild Vanessa-ness. I had to rein it in and contain myself at times. And that was good. It was great learning.
But at the same time, I was
for that.
hoping to give you permission to be you.
Well, you did.
And there's a great video I found the other day of you. I think it was a Facebook memory of you leading this song about love up the front and just having fun.
It was
because
so
you've got
fun.
an acting background.
Yeah, I do.
And so you just taught them these actions about love, and we had a video playing. The kids loved it.
We had
I
so
think
much
we
fun.
had fun time.
Yep. Oh, it's a good conversation.
It is. And you were, we did something pretty radical way back in the day, before Filthy Hope was even dreamed of. We did this series as we were heading, because when Ness was there, she was about to leave, but we were at the end of the last term of the year. And we thought we'd do something to prep for Christmas.
Yeah.
And the season leading up to Christmas in the church is called Advent. And in a lot of churches, they light candles on a wreath, and each candle stands for hope, peace, joy, and love. And I had this idea, because I'd been talking with Ness and heard some of her story, and said, what if we use those words and unpacked them in terms of real hope and what does real peace look like when life isn't necessarily great.
Yeah.
And I know you've shared on the podcast in the previous chapter about some of the stuff that happened to you. So we recorded these videos because Ness wasn't going to be there for all the time. So we set up in the library with these fake boxes wrapped in Christmas presents, and each episode that was going to be a chapel talk, Ness unwrapped a present, and the first one was about hope. And then she talked about peace, and each part was linked with part of her story.
And because I remember our conversation, it was about talking about these really crappy parts of my life story, which involved child abuse, involved an abortion,
Heart attack,
a heart attack, and
just being a rich wanky person.
Well,
getting caught up.
An affair.
Okay, yeah.
And we talked about each of those as being a gift. God, in a sense, had turned these gritty, crappy parts of my life into something that I saw as a gift that I could now use in my advocacy as a minister.
And we called the series a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah.
And we unpacked each of these amazing concepts that are sometimes just nice words, hope, peace, joy, love. And what does it look like in real life when life is sucky?
We linked each of those beautiful words to some filth.
Yeah.
And it was quite special. And it was probably the very first time that I had publicly shared about my journey.
Yeah,
and
which was very courageous.
Yeah, it felt.
And there I was.
You were
just
pushing
being
me, man.
Just pushing you.
Bastard.
Just do it.
He was pushing me, man. He was really pushing me.
Do it again. Yeah.
No, it was actually very healing for me. And I think in my story, and I'm sure there'll be episodes where I get to unpack that again, where I felt very much as a victim in my child abuse story. I very much became a survivor, and now I see myself very much as an advocate.
Yeah.
And that's powerful, and that's only because of God. And this is where I see the hope in the filth of those bits that we packaged as gifts.
Yeah.
And we called them unfortunate events.
Yeah.
We packaged them as gifts and shone grace and love and hope and light into what was a real shit event.
And try and make it real for the girls.
Yes.
Because just because you go to a private school doesn't mean your life is all nice.
No.
We had kids whose parents died of cancer or dropped dead or, as you said, go through divorce. Half of probably the population.
We have
these
suicide
days.
in the schools. Yeah.
So life isn't rosy, and just because you're wealthy doesn't protect you from
Heck
that.
no.
Oh, just because your parents are wealthy doesn't protect you from the real stuff of life. And yet they're made to go to chapel every week and hear about faith. And I wanted to really make it like this isn't just, it's not just religion. We're not just pushing,
No, we
just
didn't.
believe this stuff and so that the church can make money or do whatever. But this stuff actually really works in your life when you get it real.
And I think I wanted to just highlight the change that having faith and grace in my life, how that turned my life around.
Yeah.
From yuck, crappy life experience turned into something very beautiful, which it is today. I'm a minister.
And I think that's the gift, because
Yeah.
my personal theology, which is a big word that just means talking about God, thinking about God, I don't think God gives us shitty stuff in life. I think that just happens. It's a series of unfortunate events. But I'm very passionate. One of my core understandings about faith in God is that God is at work in everything for good. It may not be the good that we want. My dad died of cancer.
Yes.
But good came out of that because we'll maybe talk about that another time, but it wasn't all bad. And in fact, when you look for, as you said, things in that, there's growth.
Absolutely.
And there's a thing in psychology called post-traumatic growth, which is, it's not just trauma, but out of the trauma, you can still grow. You can still
100%.
grow from bad stuff that happens in your life.
Yep.
Especially if you're open to this idea that there is good stuff that can come out of it.
Healing can come.
Healing can come. We don't go through it so that the good stuff can happen, but that stuff just happens.
Yep.
And yet it's not all bad. There is stuff that is redeemed. We use the word redeemed in the church, which just means to change its value,
Yes.
to swap it for something better.
Yep.
Instead of a piece of paper that says, you get into this concert.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
actually get into the concert. You
Yeah, that's
redeem the
great.
ticket
That is
and
great.
have this amazing experience. Well, there you go. And you finished. You finished college.
You were on my fancy panel at MLC school.
Well, that's it.
How did that come about?
I just happened to, because schools need a school chaplain other schools need a school chaplain when they're looking for a chaplain. And they like to have a chaplain and somebody from the school and somebody from the church. And that's where I said to Ness, maybe you think God's calling you to prison,
prisons.
but I'm telling you, you need to put your application in now.
Yeah, you did.
You just need to put it in. And sure enough, you got an interview.
Yep.
So that was a bit fun.
Got a second interview.
You got a second interview and you became a school chaplain.
I know.
And then we're Reverend Brother and Sister
I
again.
know. Again.
For real.
Proper.
For real.
That's right.
Equals.
That's so cool.
That was cool. And we didn't get to do a lot then
No.
because you were in Burwood and I was on the North Shore in Gordon. But we got to go to retreat,
Yeah.
chaplain's
I lent on
retreat
you
and
for,
things like that. And we
for,
can
for
talk.
help as a minister.
So our friendship then developed a bit more then. And then you got chucked into congregation land.
Yeah. Out of the school
Out of
into
the
Uniting
school.
Heart and Soul.
Yep.
That's right. And you were still in school?
So I got to come and play because I didn't
Yes.
have to do church on the weekend
Yeah.
because school's closed for the weekend. So I was sort of free. And so we played.
And you got to help me bring in some of the expertise that we use in the school
Yeah.
in creative storytelling and creative sermon writing and
just
the way
making it
we
interesting.
do church on a Sunday.
Because sometimes
It can be so
people
boring.
in the church have got this idea that sermons have to be
Oh,
long and boring and like a lecture.
yep.
But actually, I don't think people learn that way, or at least as an educator.
That's right. You are an educator.
That
That's
just
right.
doesn't make any sense. Nothing. If we just stood at the front of the school doing chalk and talk in front of a class, just talking at them and hoping they write notes, and then they might learn something, we know that just doesn't work. So why does it work in a church when people don't even write notes half the time?
Interesting.
You went into congregation ministry and you were doing some stuff. We got to play.
Yeah, so
because
cool.
I didn't have to do anything on the weekend for the school.
Yes.
And some days I went to my church that I was a part of. But other times, well, you employed my daughter, Rachel, to be to do music.
Yes.
And I thought, well, I can help with Rach playing the band. And then
Incredible.
we did some amazing services together. And when you were on holidays, I got to fill in.
And now we pulpit swap.
We pulpit swap.
And now we're doing ministry together.
Yeah.
Isn't this incredible?
And you know, a space opened up for
So great.
Filthy Hope.
Yeah.
And so here we are.
Yeah.
And our families are friends too.
So great.
So,
Yep.
So if you were wondering how we got together as a ministry team, that's been part of the journey. And I think the message in all that is that things just work out sometimes when you lean and open and look for opportunities that even you don't think are there because you thought you were going to be in a jail.
Definitely.
You ended up in a school and then a congregation. I don't know which is harder sometimes, but different people.
Yes.
But yet the same theme.
Yeah, interesting.
You know, and when you left Ravenswood, I thought, that's it. Oh, that was fun, but we'll probably never cross paths again.
Yeah, wow.
And then we did. So
life's cool.
it's cool. And when you're open to that voice, you know, you have words, and I just had this sense that need to do this now, like you did with that girl.
Yes.
We get to learn from each other, and I
100%.
think everyone has an opportunity to do that.
Yep.
And psychiatrists and psychologists say that if you just see an opportunity
Yep.
to do something nice, then that makes the world a better place.
Absolutely.
And the idea of paying it forward is one way, but just simply being nice to somebody, doing something kind, like the rat guy. What's his name?
Chris the Rat
Chris
Man.
the Mat Man.
Yeah.
Just having a chat. Just say, how's your day going?
He's the
Buy him a
best.
bottle of water.
Yep.
Or just somebody says to you, or you get a vibe that they're not really well.
Yeah. He loves a coffee with 3 sugars. If you're in Pitt Street, go and buy him a coffee with 3 sugars, cappuccino, because he takes the lid off. He gives the froth to Lucy to drink, which is hilarious,
cool.
and he loves a muffin, chocolate muffin.
Okay.
But you've got to get him heaps of sugars for the coffee.
Right. Cool.
And if you don't, he'll let you know.
Which is awesome.
He's great for a chat. He's amazing.
Do stuff.
Yeah,
So-
there's Filthy Hope.
So this is Filthy Hope. We have conversations about real life and how faith works in that space. Sometimes it's grey, sometimes it's hard, but we believe things work out for good when we tune into each other and work together.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for the conversation today, John.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for listening. You know, there's all that liking and subscribey stuff. We don't really care personally, but apparently YouTube does. And more people, if you think this is worth listening to, other people then tune in if you do that stuff. So feel free just to listen. Faith, no filter, no cost, but that does help us. So
Yeah. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
see you next episode.